Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends, Doc and Prop discuss NFL news, including a new vampire in Brooklyn, and his name is Drew Brees. Dez Bryant back in the headlines, Week 5 recap, as well as NBA update, including Jimmy Butler doing his best Kobe Bryant impression, telling them, "You can't guard me," and so much more, starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Business Amongst Friends proudly brings to you its 11th episode of Season 3 of Debate Amongst Friends! The Professor John Gotti, the Beast, Doc Lesnar. We're here for you.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Where the big dogs play. Where the big dogs play. The big boys.
Wow. I don't even know if I can accept that at all. I don't know how to feel about that. I have no clue how to feel about that right now.
Big boys debate. The big boys debate.
Oh my gosh. That's terrible.
I'm sorry.
That was horrible.
I'm sorry. Did you like my vampire in Brooklyn? Did you like my vampire in Brooklyn thing? No, at least come on.
I mean, it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you did the thing a little bit. I like it. It's pretty good. You should always keep doing that. Probably work on it a little bit. It's kind of bad. I mean, it was kind of good.
I'm gonna keep working on it. I'm gonna keep working on it. Entertain the people. Just gotta entertain the people. Gotta entertain them.
But, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Debate Amongst Friends, the episodic, weekly sports podcast where myself and the podcasting beast talk about all sports, give our opinions, offer our reads, and give you the facts for you, the people. Sir, some crazy stuff happened in football this week.
Yes, but nothing but expected. But expected. Drew Brees breaking the all-time passing yard on a touchdown pass.
It was never a matter of when. Of if. It's only when.
Absolutely. Never a matter. Absolutely. And never a matter. And I mean, I think had Peyton Manning not been out for a year plus, Drew Brees probably had to play another season potentially to do this, but Drew's been so
well. And granted, I mean, Peyton Manning had a really bad year his last year.
That's true. True. He did have some rough ones. Drew has missed some games. But recently he missed some games in the beginning of his career, which ultimately led him to Saints, or actually being let go to sign with the Saints.
Yep.
So I mean, tomato, I guess.
It was like the perfect storm of moons, stars aligning, planets aligning. Like, Drew Brees needed the Saints, and the Saints dang sure needed Drew Brees because they were a laughing stock before he got there.
I agree. I think it was definitely needed. I think in this situation, Drew Brees kind of fit in with Sean Payton. Like, how you get a coach,
It was, and we always talk about, like, star players and coaches having, becoming such a tandem that they can take the league by storm, and we don't mean Jack Storm, ladies and gentlemen. But I mean, like you said, it was a match made in heaven. I mean, you only see this kind of good dynamics between a coach and a quarterback in football, I mean, once every era, if you really think about it. I mean, yeah, we got that with Tom Brady and Belichick, but, I mean, low-key, Drew Brees and Sean Payton made some magic happen.
I mean, and you're not talking about Fitz magic. Talking about Fitz magic, I'm sure.
No one is talking about Fitz magic. Just like I told you was going to happen.
Definitely not talking about it anymore. But that's okay. Not talking about it anymore.
I mean, talk about a gaudy cloud.
Oh, God. It's like a gaudy hurricane. Hurricane Gotti.
Step back. There's a Gotti coming through.
But honestly, when I think about Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, I mean, it kind of goes down to where we've been kind of telling people like people from a system, would they be good? You know, would they be good? You know, that's what separated our conversation. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. But I truly believe Drew Brees is in a different category. I think Drew Brees would be dominant in almost any offense.
Yes, I would say that with the caveat of if the coaching staff doesn't, or the OC doesn't have a playbook that allows passing, so like if they're 90% run, like I can't see him really succeed in that kind of system. Like he's not going to be very happy in that system for very long.
I would go on to say if the Browns didn't draft Baker Mayfield, and they happened to get Drew Brees somehow, they would have won the Super Bowl. I'm going to jump out there. Because let me tell you something. The Browns have the weapons and the pieces. You give Hugh Jackson a little Drew Brees Super Bowl potential.
I'm going to have to disagree. Because it's still the Browns we're talking about.
Well, you gotta also keep in mind that Jake Delhomme took the Browns to the playoffs. I mean, come on, Jake Delhomme.
Yeah, well, how good that season was, though.
I mean, it was a pretty okay season. I think at a good quarterback, though.
Like you make it sound like it was like a few years ago when we had like 6 teams striving for a wild card spot, and they're all like 10-6.
Well, that I remember because that year we didn't make the playoffs either. So I'm definitely still a little salty about that. I just think that if you take Drew Brees, I would take Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers. I think if you give Aaron Rodgers that talent, it takes him to the playoff and beyond.
I mean, you put Aaron Rodgers to almost any team. I mean, just give them the keys and get out the way.
No, they need to trade everybody. They need to trade everybody to get them to Tampa. Then
it's gonna be like a KD trade or basically a Nets trade,
or potentially a Jimmy Butler trade, Houston, but to somebody else to Houston.
I think you want to start on this one because I'm gonna say some things that's gonna get you upset about this.
No, let's save it.
You want to wait until later?
Save it for last. You know, we talked about
okay, because I'm like, I will say it, and you will. Don't say it yet. Like you started with this one. Don't just start. Don't just start, because you know. John Gotti is good for delivering those clouds. Those clouds that are depressing. Skies are gray.
Oh, God. Let's hold off.
The atmosphere is getting heavy. The thunder is booming, lightning flashing.
Let's hold off. We got topics. Other football topics.
Yes. Okay, so back on the subject of Drew Brees, before we start talking about some of these other games.
Drew Brees.
Did you feel, and I thought about this, and I watched the highlights with the Duke, and I asked him, like, does this seem a little far-fetched? Does it seem a little, fixes in type of thing? Like, were the Redskins' defense that terrible, or did they just come into this game knowing that Drew Brees is going to get this record, and they basically just laid out? Like, what happened with this game, sir?
I mean, when you think about it, though, Drew Brees. I can't say it has anything to do with. I can't say it has anything to do with the defense. Has torched. I think Drew Brees has torched. I mean, he knows it all. I mean, he knows it all. He's seen it all. That's what separates a good quarterback from an average quarterback. From an average quarterback. Not accuracy, but being able to diagnose a play. Being able to diagnose a play within 3 to 5 seconds. I mean, you've seen people audible. Like we've seen Peyton Manning go to the line. Sometimes he's not even doing all this stuff. Sometimes he's not even doing anything. Calling out.
Nope. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, people just, Matthew Stafford would say crazy stuff. Like there's nothing there. It's just false audibles that's happening. They're duds.
Completely different. Like he goes up different. And it's almost like John Gotti. Analyzing data. It's like he looks at it. And then I know exactly what the problem is. And he solves it. And it's like he looks at it. So it's like he looks at it. Oh, he said in cover 2. Oh, I'm about to eat this for lunch. I'm about to eat this for lunch. There's single high, one cover man. Single high, one cover man. Single high. This for brunch. I'm about to eat this for brunch. All out blitz. All out blitz. Thomas. Hey, you want a touchdown buffet today? And here it is.
I mean, you know what? And I'm so glad you mentioned Michael Thomas because I believe he said the tweet, and then there was also an interview as well too that was related. He said that he is the best wide receiver in the game right now.
I don't know about that. But I think I'm going to go on a tangent for 1 second. I'm going to try not to. And I know I'm going to try not to.
Please.
Before we got on the stream, and before we got on the stream, and before we had called each other, I had thought about, actually, I was sleeping on the floor, and I was like, you know what? I can tell when I'm playing like a game. Any game. Any game. Doesn't have to be anything. 2K. Doesn't have to be anything. People feel like they're the best. And it's like, I feel like in virtual reality, this is their opportunity to use a fictitious character to live their dreams. Listen, I'm not a 7'3", whatever pound center, whatever arms. You know what I mean? Whatever arms. You know what I mean?
Wait, what?
That's what I'm saying. That's my character. That's my character.
And that right there. That's Doc Lesnar, and he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that.
But that's what I'm saying, though. So I'm living my center through this character. So in real life, why wouldn't you believe that you're the best? Whereas in virtual reality, everybody feels they're the best Madden player, Street Fighter player. Think about it. Street Fighter player. Think about UFC. Somebody's fighting game. UFC. Somebody's fighting game. A lot of these people, they're not beating anybody up in real life. Nobody, but they can live vicariously through Ken, Ryan, Lee, Chung Lee, Conor McGregor.
Now, cute.
Like they can live vicariously.
I don't know, because Conor McGregor got that L.
I mean, but in real life, he got that L. In real life, somebody can be undefeated.
He probably still got that L.
It's very possible. You know what I mean? So Michael Thomas, to jump back on him, a disservice to himself to not believe that he's the greatest.
I'll agree with that. I would say if any athlete who don't believe that they're the best, and I'm going to use a great man's quote: "Get out of here, retire, get out." But am I wrong though? You laugh, but am I wrong though? If you don't believe you're the best, even though you might be a scrub, then you shouldn't play professionally.
He wants to crown another wide receiver to be the best. He shouldn't be out there. He shouldn't even take the field. I'm going to go a different route.
That's like 2 different people right there. That's 2 people. I was like, where are you going with this one?
I mean, that's why they take the field to be the best. That's why they take the field to be the best.
Yes.
If he wants to crown other receivers, then crown them.
Wow, you did the
I did.
the fist slam on the desk. I can't believe he did that. I don't know how to feel about that.
But let's move on a little bit here.
Let's talk about some of these other games that happened. I mean, let's talk about those Bucks.
Well, the Bucks didn't play this week.
I know. But what do you feel like they're trying to do during this bye week? Now they're playing on Sunday, of course, but like what do you think they're gonna do to fix the issues they had the past two games? I mean, yes, they have Jameis now. Yes, he's probably gonna start for the rest of the year.
But that's what I'm saying. Is it
like what does your team needs to do?
That's what I've been saying. Like, is it the last two games, or is it four games of the season? The first four games of the season. We haven't stopped a nosebleed just yet. Noses are still bleeding. Noses are still bleeding. Play preseason. Luckily, we get Vita Vea. First round pick back. Yeah, please. You won't be able to stop it, though. You won't be able to stop it, Smith at the helm. Not with Mike Smith at the helm. And I watched the press conference. Of him. Darnell actually from Quarantine Radio, who actually I found a little.
Is it amongst friends too?
I might be on the show tomorrow. Actually, I thought about that. He actually filmed in the same complex as the Doc. Had no idea. And I was like, how convenient. How convenient.
I mean, I still think we should try to get him on the show. Talk some sports.
Absolutely, all shows. Marking out. Hopefully, we can get in October. God,
I don't know. I mean, I looked outside. I was like, man, it doesn't feel like October out there.
But it is. We're still missing Senor. But anywho, he sent me the video. Of Mike Smith's press conference today, and the defensive coordinator for the Bucks just doesn't seem to know, or doesn't. I don't feel confident. I don't feel confident about our defense. I know we got some young guys. But everything. It's just something about other teams. I think I said this last week. Other teams just feel more aggressive, and we don't. I think JPP for the Giants. Completely different JPP that we have right now. And not just because he's older. I don't know if it's just the coaching. I don't know if it's the atmosphere. I don't know if it's maybe it's the Florida sun. Maybe it's the Florida sun. The taxes that they're not paying. I don't know what it is. But I feel like we're soft. S-A and S-O.
And S-O?
Both of them.
Wow.
That's pretty bad. I'm just saying. To me, it's going to be interesting to see what we do. But it's definitely all on the defense. I think the offense is going to continue to roll. I know we had a rough going against the Bears. But I think Khalil Mack has been destroying everybody in his path. He's He's actually a hurricane of his own.
Rock you like a hurricane.
But any other about the Saints, I know we talked about the Saints and the Redskins. Some heartbreaks.
There was 2 overtime games. So we'll talk about those 2.
Heartbreaks.
I mean, we had a beatdown out there in LA.
We did. I know.
We had a great shootout. I mean, I should probably start doing, Gotti's fun game of the week.
I'm sorry, there were like several close games. I mean, they didn't seem so close. Because I think when I was looking, the only 2 that kept popping up were the Panthers beating the Giants, and then of course the Texans beating the Cowboys. I mean, those are the only 2 that keep coming up. Because I have nothing but Giants, Panthers, Panthers, Cowboy fans, and maybe on Cowboy fans, maybe on my Facebook page. I mean,
the Bills lost a close one against the Titans.
Ravens. Lost to the Ravens by 3.
Lost to the Browns by 3.
And to prove my point,
the Vikings defeated the Eagles by 2.
Proves the exact point that I was making last week. It just seems as though their defense is holding up just enough for the Eagles to try and. But their offense just can't get them those extra points. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, but is it on Carson Wentz? Like, is it like they just lost Jay Ajayi for the season now?
No, it has nothing to do with Carson Wentz. It has nothing to do with Carson Wentz because all of their games. I mean, when you look back, and I think we talked about this last week. Pretty much within 7-point swings, either 7 points the other way, or 7 points the other way. It's like they have.
It's always a one-score game.
So it's like their defense, right? So it's like their defense is holding tight, in the game, but their offense just can't outscore the other offense, and that's a problem that they're gonna have to figure out.
They're gonna have to,
or they're out.
They're gonna have to.
They're out.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, Hugh Jackson, starting to 12 points. But
well, and we keep saying this week after week after week. Even the games they lost and the one they tied, they could have won those games. Like, we're talking a potential team that could also be 5-0.
And this is a team that performance could have saved his job because now competing is really the only thing owners and GMs look for. To a lot of times, unless you're Jeff Fisher, where you know how that works with Jeff Fisher. Yeah, even Andy Reid. Think about the heartbreak of being the GM with Andy Reid at the helm, knowing that he's going to win 12 or 13 games, not make it past the first or second round of the playoffs. How disappointing is that?
I don't know, but at least he has a Super Bowl appearance. Can't say the same thing about Marvin Lewis.
You definitely can't. I mean, you definitely can't. You can say it about Jeff Fisher. You can say it about Jeff Fisher, but it's been a long time. But I think if I wanted to say anything, I would say that the Steelers second half looked great. I didn't know. I was hoping that they didn't. Somebody on my fantasy team. I have James Conner on my fantasy team. I have James Conner on my fantasy team, but somebody else had both Antonio Brown and I was just like, I need the Falcons to play a little bit better defense against those two wideouts because I'm getting destroyed out here. They did. I still won, but it was looking at it, I was like, wait a minute.
The Falcons defense didn't help your case. Basically.
Hopefully they don't help the case this week. Either against the Bucks. But
I hate to tell you this.
Oh God, here we go. Oh God.
But you know that your Bucks secondary is suspect.
Hopefully we can learn.
And you're facing up against Juju Smith, who's looking like a freaking Pro Bowler right now.
That's true. We shut Juju
Smith. And AD, who's just dangerous by himself. Like, are you kidding me?
I felt like we did a great job. Antonio Brown. Honestly, that was one of the better performances we've had all season.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can do that to Julio. But to be honest with you, Julio is kind of down. Julio touchdowns last year against us. Mm-hmm. So I mean,
well, it's not Julio you need to worry about.
It's
Kevin, really.
Well, historically Julio, and that's the only reason I'm bringing up Julio.
But we keep talking about how they're trying to pass the torch.
Julio's going to be wide open somehow. I have a feeling.
Oh yeah. But if you start doubling up on them, I mean, you can't double up on two receivers. It's just bad news.
We can't double up on anyone.
Yes. Because if you try to double up on both of them, now Mohamed Sanu is going off.
So really, we just have to focus. So really, we rely heavily on a pass rush. Rely heavily on a pass rush. Some turnovers. That's the only way we're going to win turnovers. That's the only way we're going to win this game.
You're going to have to get to Matty Ice in less than 3 seconds.
Punch him dead in his face. That's right. Punch him dead in his face. I'm good with it. Or in a kneecap.
But I mean, y'all going to have a couple of spells with it, but I don't see anything happening.
Well, hopefully it's cloudy with a chance of sunshine.
Oh no, I think it's hail coming down next week for the Bucks.
Hey, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. But let's talk about these Texans. Let's talk about these Giants, Cowboys.
No. Before we do that, let's talk about the shootout that happened.
Which shootout?
Out there in the Northwest. The Seahawks versus the Rams.
I don't like the Seahawks.
The Rams, one of 2 teams that are still undefeated.
And they're well-deserved. Well deserved.
Even with the suspect defense, because they lost most of their secondary to injury.
But their pass rush is so good. Their pass rush is
amazing.
And that's what I'm saying. When you think about secondary, all secondaries are probably not. When it comes down to it,
here's the worst part though. People forgot that Ndamukong Suh is on the team.
I mean, you got Aaron Donald. That's why.
You got Aaron Donald. You got all these players.
Anybody could have. The Bucks could have had Ndamukong Suh. Anybody could have had him.
Anybody could have had him. No, I wouldn't have grabbed him. I'm sorry.
Wanted a pass rush.
You should have. Absolutely. I mean, you managed to get Deshaun Jackson.
We got JPP. Listen, you got JPP. Listen, you bring in Sue. You got McCoy. You bring in Vinny Curry. You bring in you draft Vita Vea. You draft Vita Vea. I don't really understand, but. To me, the pass rush makes a difference. The pass rush makes a difference. About trading Khalil Mack and how mad Khalil Mack and how mad Jay Rich is. Jay Rich feels like his.
I need a Gruden grinder. I need a
way too much heat.
Wait, who gets so much heat?
The Raiders defensive back. The Raiders defensive back. They're gonna way too much heat.
Oh, absolutely, because their pass rush stinks.
Does stink, but I told him this last week. And I think when you have a good pass rush, you can have mediocre
secondary because they can. The Patriots doing it. You're seeing this right now with the Rams right now because their secondary is pretty bad right now.
Yeah,
they gave up a lot of big plays.
Of course.
Tyler Lockett caught I think it was like a 70-yard bomb or something.
But you also have to keep in mind that when you're playing against Russell Wilson, you have to play a little bit, just a little bit. So I'll say that. They might have given some big yards. Now they did give up a lot on big yards. Now they did give up a lot on that round. I will say that might have been a emphasis that I would say.
Chris Carson ran for 116.
Yeah, and Mike Davis 68 yards. And Mike Davis, think about it, that's almost yards. You think about it, that's almost 100 yards. Running backs almost 100 yards. That's too much. Almost 6 yards per carry. Almost 6 yards per carry. For both backs. That's too much. But the Rams were able to pull it out. The Rams were able to pull it out on a mediocre day. On a mediocre 21, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I don't know though.
But now, we got past the first little bit of the season, and I talked to the Duke about it, and I went through some of the games that they're going to be playing next, seeing, because I believe week 10, the Rams and the Chiefs will be facing off against each other. And I asked them, I said, Duke, and I'm going to ask you the same question right now, actually, because the people, they're saying, Miramax. Doc! Which team between the two will be 10-0 by their Week 10 matchup?
Neither.
What game do you believe they will lose between the two?
It's not about what game they'll lose. It's not about what game they'll lose. I'm not buying the hype. I would say I buy the hype more of Mahomes. Obviously, the Rams defense is something to admire.
They face off Week 11.
So Week 11. To me, I don't know when they'll lose. I think everybody has that game. But I think golf is more likely to have that game than Mahomes anytime soon because plays a certain style that it's going to take. It's going to take a lot to stop them, but I don't think either team will go 10-0. I think both teams will probably lose about by the time they get to their matchup.
That's fair. I mean, people are already calling. Well, let's talk about that Mahomes character.
Great player. Beat up on the Jaguars. Beat up on the Jaguars. Jaguars defense is going to get after him. Jaguars defense is going to get after him last week.
Jaguars defense going to get after him?
Yeah, they played the Jaguars last week. Remember the Jaguars? We were like they're going to get after him. You were talking about this last week? Chiefs?
It's going to get after who?
You said we're talking about Mahomes, right?
Yes.
We were like, that Jaguars defense is kind of tough. They're going to get after. We had this whole conversation last week. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for them. Hey, get your hand out of my face. Get your hand out of my face.
You talking about this past week thing? Because I'm like, wait, you talking about like week 4? Like,
week 5. They just played each other.
That's what I was trying to get confirmation on, man.
Well, that's what I just said. I was trying to figure out why you asked me about it. Why did you ask me about it?
You know what?
Am I breaking up? Is my audio no good? No.
I think
1, 2. Is this on?
Wow.
Yeah, we said that last week. We said that on the show last week. Maybe that's on the show last week. Maybe that's where I'm getting. Or maybe that's where I'm getting. But yeah, on the show last week we were stating that we're going to have maybe a little bit of a hard time. The Jaguars defense.
Yes, that's exactly what we said last week.
Right.
Because we said that Jaguars defense is still really good.
Yeah, and I think there was some. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey. I was about to say Jalen Ramsey. About
to say who?
Jalen Brown from the Celtics. Yeah. Because I was just playing the game not too long ago. I was looking at the Celtics not too long ago, and I was looking at the Celtics.
Wow.
Think about it, Russell Westbrook. I do it all. I do it anyway. So.
Wow.
But what did you?
That sounds like trash.
It wasn't the franchise of this place. It's you, my friend.
You're always the franchise of this place.
But what did you think about Mahomes?
I mean, I think this was the game where he finally came down to earth a little bit.
I'll agree a little bit.
Just a slight, because he didn't throw any TDs, but he threw for 2 picks.
I know they were saying that one of them. was added pass.
Wasn't his fault.
Added pass. But even still having the opportunity. And this is, I guess, when defense. steps up because the guy who we thought was going to throw a lot of interceptions, Blake Bortles did throw a lot of interceptions. That's kind of what cost them this game. I mean, they were able to get the win. For a touchdown. He was able to lead them to victory. He threw to Travis Kelce a few times. But I'll agree. It did bring him down to earth a little bit. I just don't see them winning 10 in a row, 11 in a row. I just don't see it. He just threw a lot of touchdowns. When you look at it, they got Tyreek Hill, they got Travis Kelce. I just he should be killing it. And this is again another one of those. You throw Drew Brees on this team. You throw Aaron Rodgers. You throw Aaron Rodgers. It would be ridiculous. It would be ridiculous. So
I mean, but wouldn't it not make it fair anymore? Like, are we, not caring about fairness of competition? I don't know. I'm trying to get where you're trying to get.
I don't think there will ever be fairness in sports anymore, in the common era. Everybody wants to go to the winning team. Nobody wants the winning team. Nobody wants. There are no Barry Sanders. There are no Barry Sanders out here trying to stay with their one team and stay with their one team for the sake of staying there. I would go on a limb to say most people just want to win. Like, think about it. Like, Dez Bryant, we're going to talk about Dez Bryant. We're going to talk about in a little bit. He's still a free agent. Because he wants to go to a winner. Because he wants to go to a winner. He could have signed, but he wants to play for a winner. Not thinking that he can make the team a winner by outperforming at a high level. But I mean, still a free agent.
I mean, he is now saying he wants to go back to Jerry's world.
That's because do you think
that's something that's going to happen?
Let's talk about that game. Let's talk about that game. Giants, Panthers. Obviously, the Giants are playing okay football. They actually cut Eric Flowers. Which Giants fans threw a parade for.
Sweet cream and ice cream sandwich. They finally did it, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean,
they actually did something right.
I mean, there's a parade in New York right now.
Yeah, because I don't like my Yankees.
Yeah.
Which I'll talk about.
Sure. Because there's no October, so you have to talk about it in your final thought. You're
right. There is no October, so that means there's no more playoffs for baseball.
Exactly. The playoffs is over. Exactly. I mean, playoffs is over.
I feel so much better now.
I mean, listen, you played up against. That's all we can really say. I'll say that. This is just a heartbreaking loss for the Giants. The Panthers lived by their motto of keep pounding. They were able to get the win. I was just thinking about getting rid of Cam. From my fantasy team, but I decided to stick with him for 1 or 2 more weeks. But he was definitely on a chopping block. Yeah, he was almost out of there. Cam is a good quarterback. He's just not consistent. Fantasy-wise, he's not consistent. And his inconsistency on the field is why this game went down to the wire. But what did you think of this controversy with Odell Beckham Jr. calling out Eli Manning?
You already know how much I care about that. I honestly don't care at all.
I mean, put care aside. Let's put analysts down as like an analyst. I mean, you have a new coach. You have a new coach, and Pat Shermer obviously took over a team. In shambles. They drafted Saquon Barkley. Everybody thinks he's the next. Barry combo breaker. And the Giants aren't as successful so far, even after paying Odell Beckham a lot of money. They're not successful. Is it time for them to turn away from Eli Manning?
I mean, I don't even think it matters. I think they're going to be pig-headed and they're going to wait until Eli just retired from himself.
So they're going to...
Because they had the opportunity to start building towards Eli's replacement.
They did.
This was a strong QB class this year.
It was.
And the fact that they chose not to do anything about it, that is concerning.
I mean... Maybe they feel as though they have the future on the roster already.
No.
maybe Alex Tanny or Alex Kyle Laletta could potentially maybe. I mean, Kyle Laletta is a rookie. Kyle Laletta is a rookie. It just wasn't big. Like they could have went out and big. Like they could have went out. I get what you're saying. They could have went out. Like I get what you're saying. They could have went out and really got a quarterback. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Turn it over to a rookie right now. Turn it over to a rookie right now. I guess you're right. Eli Manning. I guess you're right. He would retire. He would have to retire in order to make it good.
Yeah.
But apparently they stink. I don't know. Apparently they stink. You let me know. Should we let me know? Should we hit the panic meter on the Giants already?
No. There's no reason for a panic button. It's already over.
Oh. So just skip the button. So just skip the button and just start planning for the draft.
Yeah, it is about time to collect your bottle caps. You sit there, you collect your bottle caps, toss it over you, and just call the season done.
Wow.
That's all you need to do. Just toss it over you, call it a year, and focus on the draft.
Wow.
And maybe you might get a QB that you like. Maybe Tua from Alabama.
I was reading earlier that Ohio State might declare for the draft. He's pretty good. He got a strong arm. He's pretty good. He got a strong arm. Good decision making. He's still pretty young, but I mean, the Giants are 1-4. The Giants are 1-4. You don't want to be in the same. You don't want to be in the same category as the 49ers, the Cardinals, the Colts. Like I don't. When I think about the Giants, I don't think about that. Even the Raiders, I feel bad for, but that's neither here nor there. You shouldn't feel bad for
the Raiders. The Raiders did that to themselves.
Maybe I'm just thinking about it because that's Jay Rich's team, and I feel like they're getting way too much heat. Okay.
No, that's all on them. They did that to themselves.
So last game we're gonna talk about here, talking about teams doing it to themselves. The Cowboys. They said, "Hey, we're gonna release Dez Bryant," which I told you I understood why they released him. He was a prima donna, really hard to. I could see it being really hard to manage him as a player from a GM perspective and a coaching perspective, even though I really feel as though their coach should be the number one coach on the hot seat, which we're going to talk about later.
Second. Yep.
Right. But they felt that Dez needed to go and that they had their number one receiver on the roster already.
My gosh.
And Cole Beasley. And that they didn't need Dez because all he could do is run the post back shoulder fade.
Yep.
So you lose to the Texans in overtime. I didn't watch the game, but all I saw on Facebook, Twitter, Bleacher Report, I even saw a big picture of Dak. And it was like a confused look on his face. And it's like they're burying him. Like they're burying him. Like John Cena style.
Like the man with 3 H's?
Yes, Triple H style. Like they're burying him. And they're making it seem as though he's like
the worst
quarterback. Yes.
Yep.
I even saw a little meme that said, for 1 cent a day, you can feed Zeke to carry him through the rest of the season. For 1 cent a day, you can feed Zeke to carry him through the rest of the season.
He didn't get fed that much on Sunday, though.
And we talked about that last week. They got to feed him.
And they do, but the problem is, if he can't eat, you're not going to win the game.
And just to make sure people know, Cole Beasley had 1 catch for 8 yards on Sunday.
But he put me to number 1, right?
Yeah, Tavon Austin.
It was Jeff Swaim who was the top receiver.
Tavon Austin, their big free agent acquisition, one catch,
One catch for 44 yards. Not even for a TD.
Skip Bayless's Rico Gathers, who he felt might do something. One catch, 32 yards. So, what do the Cowboys need to do to fix this? Obviously, they're one game away from being the Giants. What do they need to do? Do we need to talk about the guy with the X that throws up the X's right now?
No, I think they need to start considering what they need to reconsider their playbook. They need to reconsider their playbook, and they need to use their main weapons to allow them to win games. Now, I'm not going to get into details about it because I don't want Jerry Jones to be listening to this or watching this podcast and getting ideas and using them. Then I'm going to have to sit here and hear all about it for the rest of the season. I'm not going to do that. But they have to utilize their weapons, but their game plan, their playbook, to way like not even just watching the games. If you just look at the highlights, you can just see where their offense is going wrong. On moments where they should be running Zeke, they're having Dak throw it. And moments where they should have Dak throw it, Zeke is running.
Right.
And the big thing that everyone is talking about is that 4th and 1 call where they ended up punting instead of going for it.
And that's that. Everything kind of goes into our other topics, of course, coaches on the hot seat and Dez. But to me, Jason Garrett has always been the problem. It's not Dez, it's not Zeke, it's not Dak, it's not the offensive coordinator, it's not a play call. It all comes down to the head coach, the captain of the ship.
It starts and ends with the coach.
I feel as though all
the success, all the failure, everything has to run through him.
But I feel like he hasn't really had any success.
He didn't have any success. And you know what? I said this last year. And you laughed when I said this, but I think now you're going to start seeing this to be true.
I laughed.
We are looking at the second incarnation of Jeff Fisher right now.
Well, I would only laugh not because it's not true, but because it's hilarious.
And I said
because I've been saying that.
J5 was upset when I said it. I think now he's starting to believe me.
I've been saying that he should be fired. I've been saying that for the last 2 seasons.
It's a shame.
I've been saying that. Get him out of there. He's not good. And people keep saying, "Oh, they're not going to fire him. He's Jerry's boy. He's
Jerry's boy. We got that.
Yeah,
we got Zeke. We're going to win this game. Yeah, we go into the Super Bowl." Shout out to the Chisel Diamonds for that line too.
They're friends. They're not gonna fire him. Like, bro, you need to fire this guy.
He's set for life. Stephen A. Pippen on the rant. He's like, there's 2 people who got their job secure right now. Marvin Lewis, because the owner is too cheap to actually get a new coach, and Jason Garrett because he's one of Jerry's boys. Unless
only way it would work in some miraculous world, Jerry Jones is waiting for Marvin Lewis, and the owner of the Bengals is waiting, for Jason Garrett in some Twilight Zone. They're waiting for each other's coaches to be released or fired so they can pounce on the other. That's the only way that this would even make sense. But let me tell you what the Cowboys need in this era of football. They need somebody because we're not going there. Coaching wise, they need somebody who tells Jerry Jones to shut up. That's when they won. That's hey, listen, this is my team. You go sell your tickets and your cowboy hats.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna deal with this football stuff because that's when they won. Unfortunately, you get a short leash when you're that way.
But the results show within themselves.
Exactly.
And you talk about this all the time, like the way the teams were the team was on Remember the Titans.
Exactly. But it comes down to coaching, and buying into the system. Something's wrong, and to me, Jason Garrett is the only one that you can blame, and he's the only one that you can use do you think it's a terrible idea if this whole Twitter thing didn't happen? Which, if people didn't see it, Jerry Jones said, they wish they had a number one receiver, and he kind of said when you look around the league, you see somebody like Julio Jones, you're like, hey, that's a number one receiver. Which I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys have been monitoring Atlanta's handling of Julio Jones.
Oh, you already know they're monitoring that. Come on, stop it. Stop it.
You know,
let me tell you what I hear when I heard Jerry say that. Wow. My name is Jerry Jones. Woe is me.
Listen.
Because they, just like every other team, had the opportunity to trade up to get Julio Jones. Every team had the opportunity to do that. Every team.
They did.
Like, so don't sit there and start complaining about, we did. Like, you want me to tell you what Jerry Jones reminded me of? LeBron James. Here's why.
Oh, Lord.
Last year, LeBron James went on a very similar rant. Actually, 2 years ago. We need playmakers.
He went out and got playmakers. I think they went out and got playmakers.
Well, playmakers, yes. But playmakers that he want, absolutely not.
I mean, I have to disagree. I feel like they went and got the people that he wanted. These are people that he wanted. Come on, there's no way that the owner would have been like, hey, let's go get Dwayne Wade.
No, I agree. That roster is all prim based off what he desires. But just because he desires it doesn't mean that he wanted it. Because there was no gelling. Because we said this before. They got people that was 17 to 20 point scorers.
They did. And sometimes that's what you need.
And they didn't even score 10.
Well, that's because, and again, that's going to come back down to the coach, Tyronn Lue. Maybe it's Tyronn Lue. It can't be LeBron all the time.
Really?
Can't be.
Okay, so riddle me this, Batman. So if it's not
Lord.
LeBron James' fault, then why did he leave?
He left because he left because he went for the money. He went for the fame.
Come on.
This is all.
Are we talking basketball money? Or are we talking about outside of basketball money? Because if you say outside of basketball money, I'll completely agree with you. But if you say basketball money,
outside of basketball money.
Okay, because I would have took off this headset and I would have walked away.
I mean, why
would
we talk about
it was not because of basketball money.
Yeah, definitely not basketball money. It's outside of basketball money. It's California. He's got an entertainment company. He's doing documentaries. He's doing shows. I mean, why would you stay in Cleveland? It's cold in Cleveland.
It is cold in Cleveland. It definitely isn't sunny in Cleveland.
And that's metaphorically and literally cold.
I mean, people say that Cleveland rocks, but I'm not seeing that. I mean, unless you're talking about the gravel on the ground.
Exactly. Now, looking over, let's jump back to the Dez. I feel like we jumped up. Let's not talk about LeBron. So, I guess the part that Dez got upset with is that Jerry said, for the Cowboys, we haven't had a number one receiver for the last several years. We've had some great players, but we haven't had a true number one.
Yes.
And I guess Dez took exception to that. He didn't know what Jerry was saying. He was saying that based on, and he didn't have to respond. I don't know why he responded to this, but he said, as playing a receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, your mind has to be right because you never see targets such as Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. He even mentions Hopkins. He didn't mention Julio because Julio is in a different category. But he said, I was never schemed into these things. I made things happen through my career. I'm Mr. 73. But they had Jason Witten as our number one receiver. So Jerry is right. I mean, that's fair.
I took it as, let me cater to Jerry's ego. Maybe he'll sign me back.
I think that's stupid.
Because I can tell you right now, before he got signed, I guarantee he would say, yeah, I'm the number one receiver on the Dallas Cowboys. I guarantee you this right now.
But he is the number one. He was the number one receiver for the Dallas Cowboys.
Not according to Jerry.
And maybe Jerry.
I mean, J5 dang sure said he's the number one receiver. In fact, J5 says he's the top 5 receiver in the league.
I remember that, and I tried to tell him, along with other people, that he wasn't. I was actually close to saying he wasn't even a top 10, because I think J5 was trying to say that Dez is better than Mike Evans, which is false. I will say that, Mike had a few drops last year, but Dez had several drops. He isn't really a great route runner, and he's lacking the top end speed to get over the top. So I would have seen him maybe playing for the Patriots, maybe playing for a few teams, just playing basically for a team that basically needs to spread around the football, but he would have had to play in the slot, of course. But other than that, I mean, to me, Jerry Jones, I think, kind of was poking him a little bit. I almost felt like he was mocking him, not probably intentionally, but more or less he was kind of egging him on unknowingly, because he is a millionaire, and sometimes, millionaires are going to say what they want to say. But to me, I didn't think Dez needed to respond. I think that he should have just kind of like let this one slide, because that's kind of like it was almost like Jerry Jones was fishing out there. Like,
of course he's fishing.
Yeah, he's going to cast this out and see if Dez is going to bite, and Dez didn't waste any time biting.
He bit. He's struggling. Hook, line, and sinker, ladies and gentlemen. Hook, line, and sinker. This is exactly what Jerry wants.
But I mean,
it's all about the ego, not even about the money.
But let's jump topics here, because I know we're running long on the football. Any game? I know we're gonna talk about the coaches, but any games you're looking forward to? Maybe one or two you're looking forward to for Week 6.
Pats versus the Chiefs is definitely one.
Of course.
Rams and Broncos.
Rams and Broncos. Well, the Broncos, I don't know. I mean, Case Keenum's
they're
a long way since left
they're
Minnesota.
hit and miss each week, so it's going to be interesting to watch.
Oh,
and we're talking about that Broncos defense.
Yes.
Hit and miss every single week.
Every week. Every single week.
The Browns and the Chargers is going to be interesting to watch.
I'm looking. I will say that I was going to say I'm looking forward to that one. I think the Steelers and the Bengals is always one that I like to see. Also,
AFC North rivalry, yeah, absolutely, hands down, gotta see it. Must watch TV, of course.
And then let's see what the Giants and the Eagles can do. They always have a good game.
No. Giants are going to lose this game. If the Giants win this game, then it's time to hit the panic button in Philadelphia.
True. That's true. I can understand why you would say that. But if they hit the panic button, looking at it, obviously Todd Peterson, the coach, is not on the hot seat. But let's jump to hot seat. I mean, are there coaches that you feel that, are there coaches that you feel deserve to be in the hot seat right now? Listen, if they lose one more game right now, they might not even make it to the mid-season.
Yes.
What coach would that be?
I want to put Jason Garrett up there, but I can't, because we just got finished talking about how he's pretty much a made man. But if we're just talking about baseball production, he's on that dang hot seat.
Absolutely. He's been on the hot seat for a long time.
Like, he is burning on that hot seat.
He doesn't even have a butt anymore. Like, legit. He doesn't have a butt.
But number one on my list is Vance Joseph.
Yeah, I was going to agree. I think if we're not talking about Jason Garrett, we're definitely talking about Vance Joseph. I think he might be a little bit over his head, and I hate that, because he's a young coach, and you want him to succeed.
Yes, but the problem is they're going to put him on a short leash, and it's a shame.
It is very much a shame. I think if I was going to put anybody else on this list, I know a lot of people are probably thinking that Dirk Cutter is going to be cut, but I think they're going to wait to the very end of the season. Like, they're going to have to really, really analyze this and see if it's just some personnel
if they
decisions
lose
or
every game the rest of this year, he is gone.
I think if they lose 5 games the rest of this year, he's done.
Like, we're talking you. It's like, Black, get out here. No, I told him many times to stop staring at me, trying to intimidate me. He's gone. Shout out to Rasheed Wallace.
Any coaches you think surprisingly might get the X?
Hugh Jackson.
I just don't think that's going to happen. Like, you really think that would happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Another one that I think might end up getting the axe, maybe not this year, but just because there's drama brewing, is Mike McCarthy.
I don't know.
Because so now there's stories coming out about how Aaron Rodgers and McCarthy aren't in sync. Like, and that's why I'm like, I'd be surprised, because the one thing the Packers don't want to do, they don't want A-Rod or Aaron to leave.
I think if there was a coach that might get let go, it probably would be Jay Gruden. Because, I mean, now you're talking about you had Kirk Cousins, and they could have paid Kirk Cousins, and it could have been all good.
They should have paid Kirk Cousins. And that's the reason I think they're not going to get rid of Jay Gruden.
Well, the only reason I think they would get rid of him is because he probably wanted Kirk Cousins, and the GM or whoever didn't make it happen. They got Alex Smith, Dink and Dunk Alex. They got Adrian Peterson. They got all these players, but I mean, they might need to bring in a new coach to handle and manage these players.
Yeah.
I just don't see it click. It's just not clicking. Something wrong.
I mean, something isn't right there. Another one that would be interesting. Well, not even interesting, but it might be a thing. Todd Bowles.
I didn't want to say that, but the only reason I think they would give him a new year is because they just drafted a quarterback. But if I'm following the same logic as Washington, they would want to get him out of there while the quarterback's still young.
Exactly. And now you see why I said that one would be surprising.
But they would think about getting rid of him last year, and that's the only reason I think he has to win. But the Jets aren't terrible this year, and that's the only reason.
Bad.
Yeah, that's the only reason I would think that he was safe.
But I think we both know who should definitely be fired is Marvin Lewis. Like, the true correct answer is Marvin Lewis, but
yeah, that's what I was saying. But Marvin finds a way to Jeff Fisher his way along.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But sir,
so let's move to the hardwood though, man.
Yes, let's talk some basketball. But before we do that, man, this drink is pretty good. I mean, I try to always keep up with the Joneses, but I tried this Joneses cream soda, and it's actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
You like that? I'm not a big cream soda fan, but I know a few people around me. They love some cream soda. So I mean, if it's good, I believe you.
It's like having a cake, but you're drinking it. So you can have your cake and drink it too.
Don't you?
Pick up Jones Cane Sugar Soda at your local grocery stores.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. That was so terrible.
I know!
That was terrible. You talking about me being terrible. That was terrible.
Let me tell you why, because you was thinking it. You thought it, and I took it from your head.
No way. I'm not thinking that. That's terrible. That's so terrible. Don't say that ever again.
Oh, you can have your cake and drink it too. Woo!
Let's look at Jimmy Butler. I mean, obviously he's disgruntled. Like, you're playing a game, like, you have a disgruntled player in like 2K. You see a movie where you have a disgruntled employee.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of disgruntled, I immediately think of something like Jerry Maguire. Like, what do you guys think I'm going to do? Just flip out, And I feel like Jimmy Butler had his "show me the money" moment.
Show me the money. Show me the money.
I know what you guys are expecting for me to just flip out, and that's exactly what he did, screaming that Karl Anthony Towns and none of you other starters, you guys need me. Karl Anthony Towns can't guard me.
I
mean, and not just guard me, but Karl Anthony Towns can't score on me either.
I mean, Jimmy Butler's a top defender in the league. I mean,
so my thing is, number one, I know that there were some people that say that Karl Anthony Towns is soft. Now, I said that Butler had an issue with not just Wiggins, but also Karl Anthony Towns. And I think this is safe to say that confirmed.
I feel like he just wanted people to start talking about
him. Yes and no.
Yeah.
I think he's challenging this. I agree with what you're saying. That's why I say yes, but I think no. I think he's challenging them to be tougher because, I mean, when they lost to the Rockets last year, I felt like, well, number one, he was on the bench in the fourth quarter. It was kind of weird, but I felt like they kind of gave up. Andrew Wiggins is playing weird. Karl Anthony Towns is playing soft. And Jimmy Butler to me, and we'll get into the trade scenarios, but to me, I don't think Jimmy Butler has ever, I mean, for Chicago, for a brief moment when there was nobody else, he's going to score. But I think you look at DeRozan and a few other players, I don't think they should be heavily relied upon to be their number one option all the time.
So you're saying that he's not a number one?
No, I don't think he's a number one all the time, I'll say. I think Jerry Jones was talking about him, actually.
Wait, I didn't know there was such a thing as a part-time number one option.
Well, in this new way of basketball, I would say there is part-time ones. Because, I mean, when you really think about it, I'll just use the Warriors, for example. I think if Kevin Durant's not playing, I think Steph or Clay or any of those guys really could be number ones. I just believe that any of those guys could be number ones. You don't believe that? Maybe because and this is going to sound like a burn, but maybe because the Knicks have been lacking for so long that you don't remember what it is to have multiple number ones.
No, it's not because of that. And it's more because the way that the league is, and you mentioned this, the way that the league is now, like,
right.
and how dependent it is on the three-point shot. Anyone can drop 30 a night now.
Absolutely. Anybody.
So,
but consistently though, I don't think Jimmy Butler can drop 30 a night. I just don't believe it.
I would say he can get it for a good stretch depending on the schedule.
Depending on the schedule, I would say maybe 26 at max per night. And that's if he, not jockeying or anything like that, like literally playing regular basketball, not fake 2K basketball.
I don't even think he sits there and jocks, though.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't believe in his offensive ability. Defensively, I think he's great. and I'll never question his defense. And
wait, are you saying that he's just trash at offense? Like, is that what we're hearing, folks? Is the doc saying that Jimmy Butler's trash on offense?
No, didn't say that at all. I just don't think he's number one consistently. He's not a number one option. When it was him and Derrick Rose, it was all good. But when it was just him, I didn't feel the Butler magic.
I don't know. It sounds like it's trash. I think you're saying that he's trash.
I mean, if that's the way you feel, I don't know. I think if I was going to say he's trash, I think I would just come out and say he's trash. You see what I did to the likes of Punk and that other pissant.
No, not Punk. Oh, no.
Come on now. Let's stop. Come on. You know me, man. I don't hold any punches. This is debate amongst friends, baby. Shit, what do I look like holding my tongue? This is my show. This is my show. This is your show. What do I look like holding back?
It's definitely your show.
Come on. But now is your time to tell me how the next basketball season is going to go for the Rockets and Jimmy Butler, what I'm supposed to hate, this cloud, this Hurricane Gotti that's supposed to rain on my parade. Just pull the Band-Aid off quickly.
You're going to lose some pieces that you really like on the Rockets.
Give me some examples.
You really like Eric Gordon.
I'm okay with Eric Gordon. I like him. I don't love him as a player. I like him a lot. There are some times where
I feel like this is a total switch.
Nope.
From what we heard
earlier. I said
year.
What happened last year?
Because
trying to trade for last year.
You was like, Eric Gordon should have been Sixth Man of the Year. Like,
that has nothing to do with me loving or liking him. He should have been. He played a great.
I feel like this is one of those Dream has no recollection of this.
No. What I'm saying is, number one, he's in the last year of his contract. I don't know if we're gonna re-sign him. I don't know what's going through Daryl Morey's mind. We have all these pieces, all these. I feel like we have 20 players on the roster right now, so I don't know what's going on.
20 honestly. Players on the roster.
Every day I feel like we sign somebody new. And I'd be like, where are they even getting spaces? Like, somewhere on the bench, Nene is still there. And I'm like, but we just picked up Marquise. We got Marquise Chris. We got Brandon Knight. We got Michael Carter-Williams. You still got the starting five. You still got Gerald Green. I feel like somewhere Zhao Key is there. We still have...
I'm so glad that you're saying the name right. That's all I'm happy about right now.
We got Isaiah Hartenstein. We got two young guards, Rob Gray. You bring in Carmelo. I feel like there's 20 players somewhere on this roster somewhere. So to me, if I had to choose between Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker, although I love Eric Gordon's 3-point shot and his occasional drive to the basket, I would prefer PJ Tucker's defense.
Yes.
But as Q-Mart so eloquently put it earlier, where we need to make a run right now while we have a chance.
Right now.
Taking our shot at Butler would be the best move. Even though I would hate to lose. See, if you say Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, and a first-round pick, I'm be like, that's too much for a guy who doesn't even want to play in that. Minnesota, he could sit out if he wanted to. He could pull a Kawhi. Hey, my calf hurts. Hey, it hurts. We didn't see anything on the x-ray. I have nothing to do with your x-ray. You know what I mean? He could sit out. But you think about it, Kawhi may have made it that way too. When you think about it. A team could pull a player could pull a Kawhi now, and it'd be all good. Porzingis, if he didn't want to go back to the Knicks, he'd be like, "Yo, listen, my leg is tore up. I think I'm gonna be out for the next 2 years."
I mean, why you have to use the Knicks though? Like,
because I want to make sure you're seeing.
I am listening. I'm listening.
This could happen. That this could happen to any of us. Any of us.
It shouldn't happen.
Really, realistically, Porzingis could do that, and he really could.
I don't see him doing that though. But I understand. I get why you're saying that. So and this just goes right. This goes right back towards what we were talking about when it comes to mental toughness, physical toughness of these players now. Like, not saying that they're weak, but we're saying like they care more about their own health than leaving it all out there for the team. Because and we always say, like, in the 90s, back in the 90s, like, people leave their whole life out there.
This is true. But now it's like, I feel like now everything is kind of finesse. Like,
yes.
There are some major dunks here and there, but I think for the most part, there's a lot of finesse.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, all right. So you said Eric Gordon. So let's see what you got. Let's see what you got.
So I want to say it was Eric Gordon. I think they said they wanted PJ Tucker, and they also wanted a draft pick. I believe that was the trade that they wanted. Like, it was almost like, oh, take everything that we have that's good, minus Capella, because he just signed the contract. Harden, that dang sure ain't happening. And Chris Paul, we already know that ain't happening either.
So just to confirm, we have 18 players on the roster. I just want to make sure I didn't.
Okay,
I didn't
so I mean that's about almost a normal size for a roster.
No, that's definitely three people are going to get cut, because I think
of course
15.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's look at this here. So they can't trade Brandon Knight yet. Nope. They can't trade Marquise Chris. So you're saying, let's say Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker, which financially that would work.
That would work. Now, adding the draft pick might be too much. That might tilt it over. But those are the two that they're trying to do. As of today, that is the rumor.
So the Rockets said we don't want to give up PJ Tucker.
Nope.
But we might give you, Zhao Qi, and maybe sprinkle in some other assets, some cash somewhere along the lines. Maybe maybe an Isaiah Hartenstein, or maybe you can just take Nene. And guess what? That's successful.
So basically, people who don't really play is what you're telling me.
No, I mean, let me think about it. Think about it like this. I don't know everything that they're trying to achieve with this trade, so that's where it gets kind of tricky. Because I know that there was reports that.
Well, remember, even if he gets traded, like, it's not going to be finalized until he decides to go and sign an extension with that team. Because that's what he's looking to do. He's looking to sign an extension.
Well, see, that's where it gets kind of interesting, because the Rockets aren't really. They might not be wanting to sign an extension with him. They might just want him for 1 year. But I think if they trade for him now, they have that opportunity to sign him over the cap, and that's the only reason that we would want to do that right now. But it's like we don't really have any players outside of PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon to trade. I mean, now don't get me wrong. The idea of having Jimmy Butler on the team defensively, we lost Trevor Ariza. We know we lost Trevor Ariza. Oh my God, we lost Trevor Ariza. That's everybody wants to talk about, how we lost Trevor Ariza. We picked up James Ennis, which I'm very excited about. James Ennis. We picked up Michael Carter-Williams.
He definitely balled. Definitely balled.
Yes. I'm very excited about Michael Carter-Williams coming back to playing his style of basketball. But to get rid of PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon, I feel like it's going to throw something off, because when you think about it, we have this dynamic here. You got Chris Paul, you got James Harden. I think James Ennis is going to get the start, And then that's where PJ Tucker and then Capella. James Ennis and Jimmy Butler in at the same time. I don't know if Jimmy Butler can hit the three as consistently as we would want him to. That's just me.
I mean, other teams that have been rumored to be interested is the Miami Heat.
But it doesn't seem like they're even relentless. Like,
they're not being aggressive about it.
Yeah, no. Like they're not even close. Like they're not. I don't feel like they're trying though. Like I feel like they're using the fact that he wants to get out, trying to use it against Minnesota, but it's failing miserably.
Oh, of course.
I mean, what are I'm trying to figure out what other surprise teams might come out and just.
Clippers.
You know a team that I think should jump into this. And that I'm not going to say the Knicks. I know you're probably sitting there like he better not say the Knicks.
No, I'm pretty sure you're not going to say the Knicks because they're not looking to make a trade. They already said they're not making a trade for him.
I think this is an opportunity for somehow. I don't know how they would do it, but the Cleveland Cavaliers need to get into this trade. I'm sure Jimmy Butler would not re-sign with the Cavs.
Nope.
But at least it would give them something to look forward to the season and sell some tickets for this year.
Also true.
You think about it, if they can pair Sexton with Jimmy Butler, I think that would be good. And
They're probably going to try to get rid of Tristan Thompson.
Well, if I'm so,
because you got to try to match that salary,
right? And I think the only person that they have that can match it would be either George Hill, Tristan Thompson, and J.R. Nobody wants to play with me, Smith. But I think if I'm
J.R. Oh, I didn't know we had timeouts left.
Right. Nobody on the team knew they had timeouts left, apparently.
JR, I thought we was up, Smith.
But I think that would be the only other team I could think of that should jump in here. I'm sure there are some other teams. I mean, I don't know if it would work out for him, but, it would be interesting to see if Chicago made a trade to bring him back. It's highly unlikely, but
no, I don't think that's going to happen.
A team like Sacramento should be in the mix for this. They need a little star power. I mean, I just feel like there are a bunch of teams that could use him, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Houston. So,
in other words, any team but you, Houston.
And you know me, I'm always team come to my team, but
no, I feel like because this trade is going to lose pieces that you actually like. That's more the issue. Especially since you were one game away from making it to the finals last year.
This is true.
And you already lost some pretty good defensive pieces. I'm just going to leave that at that point.
Oh,
anyway,
God.
Keep going.
We lost Trevor Ariza. Oh, God. Here you go.
And your other guy?
Who? Who else did we lose? That's not Trevor Ariza.
Anywho, you're just saying anyone but Houston. Because I know you're about to start trolling.
If we're talking about giving up PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon, like we're talking about both of them, no. Like if they were saying, "Hey, we'll trade Butler for PJ Tucker and some other people," it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't know why you would want that. But maybe. But I think I know the owner wants Jimmy Butler. He said he said it would be interesting to see Jimmy Butler with Houston. But to me, it's like it just makes me feel like that Lakers team that didn't win with Malone and Peyton. Like I know they're not as old, but I just feel like this.
I was like, where are you going with that? Like you're saying that that's an old team, like.
It's not old, but I just don't want to see it. Like, how disappointing is that going to be if we get Jimmy Butler, we gave up these assets, and we still don't win? I'm be so mad because we lost Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker, who could have helped us win.
It's basketball, baby.
Even more ironic if we actually lose to the Timberwolves. I'd be highly upset.
That would be hilarious.
I'm sure you would think so.
I would find that to be absolutely hilarious. But
I'm sure.
Let's not spend so much time about this because I'm pretty sure the doc can talk about this for hours.
Absolutely. We should be at Endgame, actually.
We are at Endgame. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we do every single week, we provide final thoughts for you, both coming from the doc and myself, for things for you to think about during the week. And as always, we're going to start off with the doc. Doc, what you got for us this week?
First things first, we had our first Jimmer sighting. Jimmer.
I was hoping you was going to talk about that. I was hoping you'll talk about that.
So, I like Jimmer. You know, we've always liked Jimmer. I mean,
of course,
Jimmer
we
range,
both like Jimmer.
You
know, it was Jimmer range before it was Steph range.
Agreed. Jimmer Fredette dropped 41 points on 40 shots.
40 shots
versus the Rockets. I think Jimmer, number one, he's killing it in China. I mean, I'll give him credit. He's doing a great job in China.
He's going to turn into what Stephon Marbury was in China.
I agree. I think he will as well. I'm still looking for an NBA team to give him a legit shot. Like legit shot.
They're not going to give him a shot. I don't even know why they're not giving him a legit shot. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But this is your final thought, sir, please. Because I'll start ranting about Jimmer Fredette. Go for it.
Only because he was on the. I know because he was on the Knicks, and you're like,
yes, and I was pissed that they got rid of him. I'm like, yes, we finally got Jimmer. Let's go.
Yeah, because he's a great shooter. He's still a great shooter, but ultimately, obviously, the Rockets, won. I mean, James Harden had 39. I mean, it's preseason. I know you don't really talk about it, but I want to talk about Jimmer because he's still a great player, and I think whenever he gets a chance to compete against NBA talent, I think he likes to show out, honestly. But 40 shots is kind of ridiculous, though. My next final thought, and this comes from your old stomping grounds, Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, boy. Oh, yes.
Suns have fired their general manager right before the season starts. I mean, what in the world? I was pretty shocked, actually. It's interesting because how do you pull off a trade a couple weeks ago? I mean, and it was a pretty good, unless nobody was on board.
It was a pretty good trade.
Unless nobody was on board with it.
I highly doubt that it finally got greenlit without the owner saying okay.
That's so crazy to me. Like, super crazy. But nevertheless, I remember you saying things in Phoenix are just that way.
Yep.
But the one thing that even made it even more funny is that a day or two later, there was a report that stated that, and we talked about LeBron, but former Miami and Cavalier player James Jones could be interviewing to be the next vice president of basketball operations for Phoenix.
It could work. It could work. He wrote LeBron's coattails for, a while.
And the only reason I think it's interesting is because the 76ers just did the same thing with Elton Brand. But if it's me, I'm looking, hey, let's see what Grant Hill is doing. While we're at it.
Like, really?
Yeah, let's see what Steve Nash is doing. Let's see what Amari Stoudemire is doing. Maybe one of these guys can, help uplift this franchise. But, James Jones is champion, I guess.
I got nothing there.
All right. Last, but definitely not least, Ali Marpet of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers gets a $55 million extension with the Buccaneers.
Is there a doc in the house?
Though.
Doc, I think Chris decided to mess with you.
Because they paid Marpet, and they still have to pay Jameis. They still have to pay Quan Alexander. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I mean, obviously, it's still during the season. So when I think about it, you know, I don't think Brent Grimes is going to be back next year. I'm not sure if we're going to bring Deshaun Jackson back, and if we do, it's not going to be at the same price. Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be several people that are going to be let go. So obviously the money is gonna move, but yeah, James is gonna have to ball out the rest of the season in order to get paid. Quan Alexander deserves to get paid. I think Quan Alexander is one of the best middle linebackers in the league. Very underrated. I think he's just another person that kind of gets caught up in not having a pass rush.
Yep.
But I think Ali Marpet deserves this. An interesting fact, I think he's one of two people from Division II to ever get this much money. Him and Pierre Garçon, two Division II players who ever got this much money. So
yep.
I think he's number one now with the $55 million contract. And that there is my final thoughts.
All right, I have a few myself. Firstly, as we mentioned before, the Boston Red Sox bastards defeated the New York Yankees, defeating them in the series.
Come on.
3-1.
Come on.
They lost yesterday 4-3. Despite some shenanigans from the umpires, I mean, congrats to the Red Sox. I hate saying this, but it's whatever. But I mean, in turn, it led to a lot of people calling for Brian Cashman's job, the GM for the Yankees, just because our bullpen was just so terrible. Terrible. And our starting pitching isn't that good either, actually.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Our starting pitching isn't really that good. The only one that we have that is really good is Tanaka. I mean, CC is past his prime. We probably get another year or two with him before we need to let him go too. But I think it's time for us to rebuild our pitching staff. But congrats to them. I'm not rooting for them to win the World Series because I'm a Yankees fan. And I'm going to say anyone from the NL, if the Red Sox win, please sweep them. That's all I'm going to say there. That's all I'm going to say there. Just sweep them. I'll feel so much happier. In other news, I don't know if you saw this, but there's a huge rumor going around regarding the running back hold that's happening in Philadelphia for the Eagles. And they're talking about potentially doing a trade to reclaim shady LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy, who was actually traded from the Eagles to the Bills. With the Jay Ajayi injury, I guess they're trying to fill in that hole. I mean, he left on some pretty bad terms, though. That's the part that is going to be interesting to see going forward, is whether or not it's going to cause any turmoil. But as of right now, I mean, it's just a rumor. If anything else happens, of course, we'll let you know, you, the people, here at Debate Amongst Friends. And my last one was talking about your boy, Mike Tomlin, getting fined $25,000 for criticizing the officiating during a blowout victory.
I feel like he always gets fined.
I feel like he says a lot of things, but he doesn't get fined.
He gets fined every year, I think. At least once a year, I've seen him get fined. I think that's the only reason he's there. He's only there to get fined. So he's only there to get fined.
Yes. Wow. That's your line. But, of course, for those that don't know, the NBA season will be beginning in 6 days. So I'm looking forward to watching a lot of these games now. I'm definitely going to try to make it a point to watch it a little bit more. I'm also making it a point to go attend games as well, too, this year. Just so I can get that live action experience again. It was so much fun going to NBA games, especially when the Nets suck and, you know, it was like $15 to be like 9 rows away from the court. But that's besides the point, Senor October.
Yeah. Oh, God, don't even mention October.
I'm looking forward to this season. You know, who knows who's going to be the underdogs. And, you know, we'll talk about NBA a lot more. I mean, it's going to be half NBA, half football this time, instead of it being majority football. But, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we are at the end of the show. And tonight's track... Wow, I can't believe you just did that to me right now. I can't believe you just did that to me. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Anywho, tonight's outro track is from The Off Days, who is a collaborative effort between, actually, some of the members from Conlinguist. Now, I didn't say what you think I said.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did not. I feel like you just want to take it that way.
This is a family show.
It's not. The name of their track is called Couple Skate from the album of the same name, released last month actually. We've made sure we put the links out in the YouTube channel, and we'll also make sure that you support our artists. And as always, big shout outs to Croup Dog for having the most electrifying intro in all of podcast history. Make sure you check out Debate Amongst Friends every single Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch us offline on YouTube, on Google Podcasts, iTunes, Player FM, Stitcher, and any at all podcast application on your iOS and Android devices. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in tonight, and we'll catch you next time. I am the Professor John Gotti.
And this is Dr. Wednesday Nights, the podcast.
And as always, good night, mwah, and goodbye. Bang!
Taste the ocean.
Taste the ocean, he says.
Rock rolling, bounce, rock rolling. Just know that's that shit that turns me on. Bounce, rock rolling, bounce, rock rolling. Just know that's that shit that turns me on. So put your mitt in mine, and baby, just know. Want some magic in the air, well, baby, presto. Let's ride 16 wheels and do the breaststroke. Life's a beach like we skating down the west coast. We going round and round, digital underground. No shovel needed, just a simply diggers getting down. Leaving troubles at the door to go to lost and found. These are the birds, but we don't use them, ain't no stopping now. You free to copy now and do your two-step. Over this shit that's like the funky as the bucket breath. We banking left and banking right till ain't no money left. We gon' be busy till ain't nothing but my honey left. Taking long strides in between our baby steps. Say hello to gorgeous, ain't goodbye to stress. This the off days, don't have a dress code. Just let your body rock and go for the gusto. Staring at you, staring at me. Baby, you're a sight to see. We don't even have to speak. Just know that's that shit that turns me on. And baby, it's a shame if we can't roll and switch lanes. Before you even know my name. Just know that's that shit that turns me on. Look at the way you're moving, the way you're grooving, the way your body making that music so soothing. Me and you together's a W, no losing. I'm thinking about it, not at the W, slow spooning. We both proving we adults here. Let's stop the coast cruising and baby pop the clutch here. Stunned by the beauty of your booty. If I just stare, sorry, but that cootie and them leggings like a fresh red Rari. What a sight to see. Shit, what a night to be. Drunken in love, can't go wrong if you right with me. Say we just the public, maybe find a little privacy. Take you anywhere you wanna go. Fuck the price of fee, baby, I got it. You say, ma, let's get it poppy about it. Make a nigga harder, so you know I'm a rapper. You call me a prophet, call me the truth. But I bet after tonight you be calling me soon. Yeah. Staring at you, staring at me. Baby, you're a sight to see. We don't even have to speak. Just know that's that shit that turns me on. And baby, it's a shame if we can't roll and switch lanes before you even know my name. Just know that's that shit that turns me on. Hold your waist, a grin on your face. Smooth rules look like we're spinning in place. All these Cisco lights look like we're spinning in space. Kiss your lips, got the cinnamon taste. I'm enticed off the curves on your body. They playing pumping hottie, naughty. The whole place jumping like karate. We came here tonight so we can dance and maybe take a chance on a special type romance. It's like you and me flowing through the ether. The sounds of the quiet storm going through the speaker. Truth is, all these strong feelings got me weaker. You're eager, just reach out, let me be a teacher to Aretha. I realize that you're so real, so wise. Both hands alternate between your stomach and thighs. Every time you go low, whoa, I feel so high. You're falling for me, I can see it in your eyes. Don't lie, don't lie.
That's that look, that's that look that turns me on, yes it does.
That's that shit that turns me on.
Oh yeah. Said it turned me on.
Just know that's that shit that turns me on.
I wanna see those panties on the nightstand. Oh.
Just know that's that shit that turns me on.
Yeah.
Just know that's that shit that turns me on.